Welcome to Veteran State of Mind. I'm your host, Geraint Jones. Thanks for coming along. If it's your first time, welcome. If you're a returning guest, welcome. I'm extending a hug out to all of you right now. Glad you can be here. Thank you for telling your friends about the podcast. Thank you for you guys that have been making posts and sharing the word about the podcast. We really appreciate it. And also massively appreciate the Royal British Legion for making this possible. I know there's a temptation for you guys to skip through at this point. What the hell was that? That camera just... I wonder if the mic just picked up my stomach there. I was just telling producer Peter how I had beans and eggs for lunch. And evidently, this guy's going to haunt me through the rest of today's podcast. What the fuck was I saying before those beans interrupted me? Oh, yeah. I was saying, please lend me your ears as we go through these, as we go through our sponsors, because there is no podcast without them, and they all are either veteran-owned or they work to support veterans. So open your fucking ears. All right, Royal British Legion, biggest veteran charity, been around for over 100 years. They do all kinds of things to help veterans, including making this podcast possible. There's a lot of financial hardship happening. There's a lot of financial hardship on the horizon due to coronavirus. So, Royal British Legion, as they always are, going to be there to get the backs of veterans, going to be there to get the backs of veteran families. So check them out at rbl.org.uk, also at Royal British Legion on social media. They make some fantastic content, definitely worth a follow, so go check them out. And while we're talking about following people, how about you do your old mate Gez a favour and go and give Combat Comb Over a follow on social media. I'm not even selling you anything. Just go and follow them. That's all we're asking. At Combat Comb Over. Go over, hit that follow button. They got some tidy women on their thing, if you're into that. And if you're into blokes, they got some tidy blokes on there too. If you're into both, then you're fucking laughing. So get over at Combat Comb Over. They make the world's greatest pomade. I heard that online, so I know it's fact. So get over there, follow them at Combat Comb Over. We're also brought to you by Zulu Alpha Strap Company. Bombers watch straps for alley blokes. You know I love Zulu Alpha straps, and not only because they are veteran-owned and operated by a Welsh person, which isn't me, by the way. It's me plugging my own company. Although that'd be a good idea. I might branch into some fucking straps. So head over there and check them out. If you've got a nice timepiece you spend a lot of money on, then you want it on the bestest strap, made by veterans, used by serving military. They've got some fantastic pictures of their straps in action. That sounds a bit wrong, didn't it? If you go to at Zulu Alpha Straps, you'll see them on there. Tell them I sent you and get one on your wrist, you dirty slags. Right, who else is this episode brought to you by? How about me, Geraint Jones? I'm always fucking selling stuff. I got a bunch of books that I need to get off my hands. Do you want some signed copies of anything that I've written? Shoot us a DM. Slide into my DMs if you're interested in signed copies of the books. If you're into a bit of stabby stab, then check out my book Legion, about the Roman legions. You know, clues in the name on that one. But if you're into, more of your pew 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 and a bit of the old, you youngsters know what I'm talking about there, don't you? You fuckers with your TikToks. If you're into that stuff, Brothers in Arms is what you need. That is it's a story of our time in Afghanistan and what came after. It's out in paperback now. If you're interested in signed copies, then slide in my DMs, or you can find them you find them on Amazon, the usual one there. Legions up on Amazon too. All right, today's guest. I was excited to have this man on. You know what? I've just been slagging off the youngsters on TikTok. That's actually where I came across today's guest. So when the whole incident with George Floyd happened and the riots and protests started kicking off across America, I found out that TikTok was actually one of the best places to see what was going down in terms of raw footage and also opinion on it. And today's guest is one of those people who I really kind of got sucked into listening to his opinion on things, because I get very emotional about stuff, as we all do, but he breaks things down in the kind of like the cold light of day. Very kind of methodical about it, uses a lot of logic, which I like. I think there's a lot of that, more of that needed in the world. Here we go. Please give a very warm welcome to Christopher Townsend, better known as Topher Town Music. All right, Topher, welcome to the podcast, mate. Happy to have you with us. And cheers for coming down, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate it, G. I know you reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad that we finally got an opportunity to do this. And I'm always appreciative of people giving me a platform to express my point of view.
Well, yeah,
So thank you.
we're going to dive into your veteran state of mind today, mate, because we are obviously predominantly a veteran podcast, and you yourself served in the United States Air Force, if I'm correct. We'll kind of come on to that, but can you just tell us briefly about where you grew up and what kind of values that you had instilled into you growing up, because that's going to really inform, I think, this place that you are now in your life.
Absolutely. I grew up in rural Mississippi. Like I said, one of the poorest states, one of the least educated states. My family was divided. I was born out of wedlock. And what I experienced as a kid was bullying, poverty, extreme poverty. My mom instilled in me what she could. I didn't have that father role in the household, but she did teach me things, how, like, as far as like normal skills, like how to do some plumbing and different other things. Because my mom was a really brilliant woman, but she couldn't teach me what to do, but she told me a lot of things what not to do. So that kept me out of a lot of trouble when I was growing up as a youth. And I carried those beliefs into my adulthood until I can educate myself on what to do. So I think my mom, and I feel like this was missing a lot of time in Americans and Black families, is that both sides of the spectrum, right, of the coin. So you got what not to do and you got what to do.
Hmm.
She just turned me into a great person. And one thing she always told me is, I remember early in life, she said, if you want to get an education, if you want to have good grades, and she said, don't do it for me. I think I went home and told her that one day. I said, I'm only going to do this because of you. You want me to do it. She's like, no, I don't care if you do it. You got to want to do it for yourself. She cut that out real early. She was like, no, if you're going to do anything, do it for yourself. And because if you do it for anybody else, you're going to crash and burn real soon.
Yeah.
What if that person decides they don't like you anymore? Then all of a sudden, your motivation for what you're doing is going out the window. So you got to know you got to do it for yourself because that's the best decision you want to make. But yeah, I grew up, I got two sisters and a brother. And on my dad's side, I got like 9 siblings and I have no idea who they are. He was a definition of Rolling Stone. But yeah, those values carried on until I became an adult. And I've always worked hard to grow up. Like I said, I had a farm. My grandma had a farm, so I worked and we stored peas and all that stuff. When you talk about canning and hunting and everything, fishing. And then from that, I started working early, around 15, 16, and I had a job ever since I could have a job. And my mama taught me the value of responsibilities early. As soon as I got a job, she's like, here, pay your insurance for your car. Here, pay for your phone. She instilled all those values as early as possible. And I hated it growing up because, like, you get to see what your other friends can do.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to worry about the type of stuff and they can go out and have fun. But as an adult, and I look back over my life, I was like, man, that was the best thing she could have done for me, because it showed me that in the end, the only person I can depend upon is me and my faith. And that has gotten me through a lot more tough times than anything else in this world.
Bro, what made you listen, though? Because, I'm, as an example, myself, I got great advice from my parents. I didn't fucking listen. What was it about it that made you kind of take that on? Because I think, there's a lot of us who are in the same boat as me now. And I look back. So right now, I'm with my mum now. And, she's helping me get on top of things that I've just pushed to the side for years. And they're all things that she's been telling me for years. But it's only now at 36 years old that I'm listening 25 years later than I should have been. So any young listeners out there, start listening to what your parents are telling you right now. So what was it that made you kind of get on board with those ideas early in life?
Well, in America, there's a lot of money put into educating minorities about how America treats you. I was in school. We went on trips, and a lot of times all they told us were that if you were a Black man in America, you was 1 in 3 times more likely to go to jail. And all these statistics that kind of scare you about real life, right? So I'm about to get into this scary world, and they never tell you why the statistics are like that. And when I was growing up, I saw how my cousins acted and how they evolved and developed while they was living in Chicago versus how I developed in Mississippi. Chicago, they were a little bit more violent. They got into trouble more often. And sometimes I had to realize, like, man, we grew up on the same values. We got the same grandma. She didn't play when we was around her. And we just grew up on the same principles. But for some reason, y'all have a different attitude and a different outcome. So when I saw that and I started realizing that, it made me understand the importance of having friends, like understanding that you have to be selective and careful who you have in your circle. And because of that, and because of the scripture, bad company corrupts good behavior. I was like, yeah, man, I got to make sure I hang around some people that's going to at least inspire me or at least keep me from doing dumb things. And that's what I did. And I thank God that I made that decision, because that's given my personality. I'm very impressionable. So I would have probably done some things that would have definitely landed me in jail a couple of times. But so I'm grateful for that decision.
Yeah, and once that happens then, we know the spiral then is such a difficult one to stop once people get into it. The other thing that you said, bro, is that you got bullied, and that's something that, like, I've had myself, and we've had podcast guests from infantry soldiers, special forces soldiers, myself, yourself, all saying the same thing, bullied as a kid. Is that something that pushed you towards like joining the military, do you think?
No, I'm going to be straight candid with you. The reason I joined the military was because I was in college and I had to get my tooth pulled, and it cost about $300. And I was like, bro, I cannot afford $300 in college while I'm paying for everything. I said, I need to get some benefits, so let me join the military.
I was going to say, like, joining for one tooth is a bit extreme, but I guess you get you get good. Is it for the rest of your life, or it's like cheaper for the rest of your life, or how does that work?
Oh, no, it's not for the rest of your life unless you're retired from the military. But no, well, if you get out with disabilities, then you can get a certain amount depending on what you have. You can get free healthcare for those ailments. But other than that, it's not free. But I don't really rely on as much. I just don't, because I know better. I'm more educated and know how to get around things. I can afford things better.
Yeah.
But so that's what made me join. But bullying definitely made me understand once again that no one was going to come to rescue me. And then I was getting bullied for some of the most superficial things, like, oh man, he's wearing these, poor shoes, or he's not wearing the latest clothes, or things like that. Also, I got bullied because I was smart. I ended up being valedictorian in my class. And I hate to say it, but within the Black community ourselves, we have something called acting white. And it's been going on since the schools were integrated back in the 50s and 60s. And because of that, we're ostracized or we're maligned if you make above 3.8s and stuff like that. And there have been studies that have, even when you account for the different variables, that prove that there's a disparity when it comes to how your peers treat you in the Black community versus any other community when you are that intelligent. And that tends to roll over to what it means in being the Black conservative and everything else. And because of this is why only 17% of the Black population in America has a 4-year degree or more compared to any other demographic. We just, for some reason, despise higher education. And it's very toxic to our community, because we don't understand that education is what we fought for. And it was one of the tools we used to free ourselves from slavery and bondage back in the day. And even then, we took to court to fight for other things, as far as, like, the right to vote and the right to become a citizen. So it hurts me really deeply when I see this happen, and this continuation of this just of this trend.
It sounds almost like the tall poppy syndrome. They call that in Australia, where as soon as somebody's trying to, like, rise above the crop of everybody else, they chop you down to the same kind of size. You mentioned the word valedictorian. So we don't have that in the UK, or maybe they do in private schools, but they don't have it in the public schools. So is that's an award for the highest, was it, grade point average that you get a year? So that's really interesting as well, because we see sports people, or like we see high school athletes celebrated a lot, and that's something that is, like, lauded. So that's where would you kind of say that this did you see that disparity at the time, that it's like if you were a great track athlete or if you were a great football player in school, that you were applauded, but if you were trying to, like you're saying, quote unquote, act in white, is it just seems like that's really hard to kind of get my head around,
Yeah. So one of the things I try to do because of that is, or I want to do, I haven't really got around to it because I just don't have the time, is start having programs where we celebrate. Because, here in America, we have signing days for athletes that go to college, right? So the school will put on this big signing day. They bring in the media. They get a whole news write-up. They get on the local news, all just because they're going to college to play some type of sport. No one does that for people that get full rides anywhere. To me, is purposely designed to, I guess, discourage kids from being smart. I'd have no other reason why they would not do that. So what I want to do is let's change that prerogative, let's change that narrative, and show that it's actually more important to have a brain on your head than it is to be physically blessed, if you know what I mean. So I don't know how we're going to make that trend and turn that around. But I do want to talk to people and make that a thing. Maybe start next year. I know we're out of school right now because of the whole pandemic and everything going on. But yes, I saw that a lot as a kid, and I was an exceptional athlete myself. So I would get newspaper articles and everything. But for sure, I was in the newspaper way more often for my athletic achievements than my academic achievements.
And a full ride, that means basically your college tuition fees paid for, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal in whatever country you're in. So it's interesting. It's interesting that those academic scholarships exist. I have no idea statistics, but I imagine if we're looking at those, then you're more likely to get one. If you're black people are maybe less likely to get them, but maybe they're not for the reasons that people would think. If you're being pulled down by your peers, that's certainly not going to help things because, you said you were impressionable, bro. Like, I think that just goes for kids in general. Like, most of us as kids are shaped by our peers. And, if you run with a pack at that age, it's very difficult to not do. So going into the military then, how did you find the attitudes there in terms of encouraging you to be the best? Did you find that they were trying to get the most of potential out of you, or how was that? Is that a bit of an idealistic way to look at it?
So when I joined the military, I already knew I had recruiters coming after me in high school because of my ASVAB scores, of course. And my mom was adamantly against it. She couldn't stand the military because she felt the military did not have my best interest at heart, that I was just going to be another pawn for the military to use and ultimately give my life for something that would not benefit me. So she discouraged it, and she didn't want to hear about it. I was in college, and like I said, after about my second year in college, I told my mom I wanted to go. I called her. You know how you just sweating and just don't want to make this call? It's like, okay, Mom, I want to join the military. And she goes, okay. So first I almost had a heart attack because I cannot believe she just said okay. I was so prepared for her just to rattle off this whole list of you're just being ignorant and you're just being used. But that didn't happen. And I was like, huh? She said, actually, my sisters had been talking to her about that being an option, a good option for me. So for months, my sisters were already grooming her. I had no idea. And I always tell people, like, God works in mysterious ways. It's just one of those things, like, I didn't even ask for that to happen, but that was going on without my knowledge. And when I joined the military, I joined knowing that I was going to learn some things that were going to make a good impact on my life. So I went in with a positive attitude. Basic training was like tough, one of the toughest things I experienced, because it takes you away, it strips you away from your family, your friends, from the world, period. You don't even know what's current news. We only got it on Sundays when they possibly read us the newspaper, right? So we just away from everything. And you're thrown into this pool of people that come from diverse backgrounds, all shades of color and religion. And this is where you kind of have to understand why you believe what you believe and understand your values, because it's going to be tested. And while I was there, I actually grew closer to God with my relationship, because I was like, I got nothing else I can do. I might as well read the Bible. I read the entire Bible within 2 months because I just stayed dedicated to trying to keep myself in a positive mindset. but I got to make relationships with other great people. One of the cool things about the military that I always say is growing up in Mississippi is like 42% of the population is Black. So you can almost live in a all black neighborhood and everything, never really associate with white people or any other race. So when I was in the military, I quickly became a minority, and which was good because I'm a very friendly person, and I've never been anybody that would think of anything or prejudice anyone based on their skin color. But I just never really had the opportunity to freely explore those relationships. So I had a chance to do this, and yeah, by no surprise, some of my greatest friends and supporters today are people that don't look like me. And just one thing I want to say about the military is at the end of the day, they teach you that what's important is the Constitution and what you swore to protect and defend from both foreign and domestic, terrorism. So this is why I encourage people to join the military, because not only that, but it also instills not only pride and patriotism and brotherhood and sisterhood, but it also teaches you skills that you can, convert into the regular world, civilian life. And that's skills like showing up early, being on time, not stopping till the job is done. If something goes wrong, find a way to fix it before you bring it to somebody else. So all these things that we have been instilled in us, I'm excited about, and I love it. And I use it on a daily basis. And the fact that they yell in your face. So when you was talking earlier about how do you deal with certain stuff as a conservative, it's because I've had worse done to me.
Yeah. It's a great sense of perspective. How did you get on? Because you're a critical thinker, right? You look at things and you go, all right, let's take the emotion out of this. Let's look at the facts.
Yeah.
How did that go for you in the military? Because like a lot of the stuff in the military is deliberately not supposed to make sense because there's going to there's two things. There's the side of training where things are just meant to fuck around with you because that's part of the training. It's making you it's conditioning you. And then the other side of things is when you're working in a big organization, which the military is, one of the biggest organizations, if not the biggest organization in the world, things will not make sense sometimes. They just won't.
Right.
So how did you ever find yourself getting frustrated with that?
Daily. I'm daily, because it was one guy, and I'm gonna be real with you. It showed me that no matter, even if you try to help somebody out, if they're not willing to change and help themselves, it is absolutely pointless. Mm-hmm. So one of my basic training stories is, it was just one guy, one black guy, I forget his name, but I was pretty decent. I'm one of those people, like, excellence in all we do is one of our mottos and points in the Air Force. So what I did was I always strive to at least score high or top in anything I did. So I was really good at rolling T-shirts and keeping everything neat. So we decided to roll T-shirts for this other airman to make sure that his wall locker was presentable so we can all get this good grade, no one get fussed at. Tell me why this dude went in, unrolled everything, and redone it himself. After we spent our painstakingly very rare free time to help this guy out. And yeah, it left a sour taste in my mouth. And as a critical thinker, you just kind of go like, man, it sucks that you have to be dealing with so much dead weight in anything you do in life. But excuse me. It also showed me that I don't know what else. What else did it show me? I gotta get back on track with my train of thought. But it showed me that no matter what you want to do, or no matter who you're trying to talk to, you got to understand the context for which the context for which you're coming from. For example, in the military, we're a big organization, and yes, my job was, to be fair, my job allowed me a certain level of critical thinking than most other jobs. I was a cryptologic language analyst. So with the analytical skills and everything else, I was able to think critically and look for research and all that type of stuff. So that was, it kind of, allowed me the freedom to think. But at the same time, when you look at stupid stuff like, why are we doing this training? Why are we repetitive doing this training? Why we got to do this PT test? It makes no sense. More of us are getting injured from this PT test than it actually meant to be. Why do women have lower standards of PT when, if we go to war, no one cares, and it's going to show and reflect that women can't keep up with the men? So it's all kind of stuff like that. You just think, and it's like, why do we have this? And that's why I tell people all the time, things like affirmative action and other policies that try to make it equitable when it comes to job applications or where you work ultimately hurt the overall progress of something. If you earn something, you earn it. Stop trying to give somebody, one up somebody and give them a handicap just because they can't meet the standard. I think that's unfair, and I think that's just dangerous, especially in a field like that.
It is dangerous, bro, because that's the thing. It's like people lose track of what is the military for. When it comes down to it, it's putting something that doesn't belong there in another person's body with a fucking be it a bayonet or a bullet. It's a nasty fucking business, and we lose track of sight of that. And fortunately, we haven't been in the position yet where that has caused havoc, but there will come a day when there will be a war on a bigger scale, your Koreas, your Vietnams, and unfortunately a lot of people will pay the price for other people's good intentions. And they are good intentions a lot of the time, but they haven't properly reconciled what that intention is with what is the actual job. Your job isn't your job, the job of the military. Sure, we spend a lot of that time in training and in bases, but that's not the job. The job is to go out and fucking kill people. And, people mix that up or just conveniently forget about it. I wanted to ask, when you were in the military, did you experience racism? Did you experience being treated differently? Not just because of your color, but being from Mississippi, being from the South. Did you find that at all?
No. Honestly, I didn't. Everyone asks me this question all the time. And sometimes I feel bad because it's like, no, I didn't. And it's because everyone feels like they do. And I was like, I just never did. And I remember, and once again, I spoke about it earlier. It's like some of the greatest people that really stuck up for me and with the bat for me were people that was of different colors. It was not the Black community. I hung out with my Black friends and we did things together because, that's what we do. Birds of a feather flock together. So that type of mentality. So yeah, I just never experienced it, man. And I hate. Well, I guess it's a good thing. I can say that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like I missed something, so I can't relate to everybody. But it just never happened. I did talk to some people that had some racist thoughts before, but they did say the military helped change their idea of how they pictured Black people, because all they see is what they're used to seeing around them. Mm-hmm. So if you live in an area where majority of the people committing the crime happen to be people of color, if you're watching movies and all you see is Black people committing crimes, if you're listening to music and all you hear about us is celebrating drugs, rape, all that stuff, then you're just going to build this perspective that Black people are nothing but a bunch of animals and we can't be redeemed. So I don't really blame them for why they developed that mindset. It's because we're not really doing a good job of cleaning that up. But once they joined the military and they saw that, oh, here's a Black guy who's intelligent, who's not participating in criminal activity, who's actually trying to do something about his life, who's proud to be American. So they kind of changed their perspective. Like, okay, I don't hate all Black people. I like this Black person. So that's how it starts. It just starts with that one that shows that we're not all like this. And if you get to know a lot more of us, you will see that, there's more of us out there like this, but you have to be willing to go do the search.
Yeah, dude, one of the things, because I grew up in it's changed now. The town I lived in changed a lot over the last 20 years, but growing up, there wasn't really any. It was just white people in town, just white Welsh people. And, everyone was very, and not really any diverse backgrounds either. It was everyone's families had done the same kind of things, And then the military exposed me to different people, different races, people with different backgrounds, people with different religions, which was great. And, one of the things I always found, like you were just talking about, like how you see people on TV and how they're presented to you. Because I always used to think, because if when not just Black but Arab families and Polish families first started coming to this town, you would notice them. And I think oh, fuck, am I being racist because I've noticed these people? But then I think if anything, as human beings, if anything different pops up in our environment, I remember once when I was in LA, I had to go and pick up some tickets for a sporting event, and I had to go to South Central to go and get them, and everyone was looking at me, And it wasn't because everyone hated me. It was because they're like, oh, something's standing out. Now, obviously, the way people react to that, that's a different story. But I think one of the things I want to get kind of across to listeners is if something kind of just piques your interest, that means you're a human being. It doesn't mean at that point that you are the piece of shit. It's in how you progress past that point. But don't feel bad because you're something like, you know, if you're in a group, if you're in a place which is all blokes, all guys in a gym, and a girl comes in and you look, doesn't mean you're fucking sexist, doesn't mean you're anti-feminist or anything like that. You looked because something different came into your environment, and that's kind of like, that's what keeps you alive as a human being, or what used to keep you alive, you know, as a human being. So what kind of made you leave? It sounds like you had a pretty good time in the service. What was it that made you kind of decide to come out of it?
Well, I'm a hip hop artist, and while I was in the military, one thing, my job was considered deployed and on site, so I couldn't leave. Like there was like the only base I could be stationed at was Fort Gordon, Georgia. So that's what you don't want to hear in the military.
That's what it takes away one of the main things you join for, right? Travel.
Right. You want to travel. Like I want to go overseas and make a bunch of money because I'm overseas and not getting taxed, right? So I want to do all these things, and it's like, no, you know, this is horrible. Then on top of that, some of the recommendations or the requirements started to become very petty, right? And I was like, man, we don't need to do all of this just to keep up a standard. Now it's getting to the point where it's just like, you're just trying to keep me busy for no reason. I hate busy work. You know, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it, but don't give me busy work because it's not really going to help the mission ultimately. So I came to a conclusion early. I was like, I love music. The reason I joined the military was to get myself up on my feet, get a good foundation so I can do this music thing full time. And so I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get out, do my own thing. I got out in 2017, April 2017. And I believe the day I got out, I had like a mixtape release party. So I was like, here we go, man. I'm starting it off. I'm all about it. So let's go. And, 3 years later, I'm still doing music now. Matter of fact, I've started a hip hop group called Space Force, which is an all veteran hip hop group. I have the Marine rapper who's he served in the Marines.
Yeah.
And
No, he's a good, great guy.
Yeah. And I have D Cure, who's also an Air Force vet. And so we just formed this group together. Now we try to help other veteran artists and active duty artists get their music out there, get them in front of the spotlight, because we have so many talented military musicians, but because of stigma and some stereotypes that we may have about us, people kind of like, it's corny or it's something like that. But it's like, no, we have changed the level of quality and talent that we bring into the pool, but no one still wants to do that. So we're making it our mission right now to highlight that, along with our military musician podcast that we host every Friday, which you can find on Spotify and everything else. But yeah, so that's kind of why I got out, and I have no regrets, my man. The only regret is I wish I would have done the politics thing sooner.
Yeah. Dude, we got to connect you with, Babyface James. He was a rifleman, Afghanistan veteran. We've had him on the podcast. So anybody who's listening to this, because I get asked this a lot, the outro music at the end of the podcast is called Confessions of a Soldiers by Babyface James. Should put you in touch with him because he's out in the States too, dude. He's a talented motherfucker. But you're right. There's a stigma, not just against music, but against arts in general. Like, as much as I love to take the piss out of all branches, Navy SEALs, they take a lot of flack for writing stories. Why shouldn't they write a fucking story? Like, it's their life. They have every right. But we chop people down. People try. It's like, what do they want us to do? Oh, you want to be a security guard? Great, go and be a security guard. I want to be a rapper. Nah, bro, don't get to be a rapper. Go and watch those CCTV monitors. It's fucked up. We chop people down. We try and put people into boxes. Some of the best, because I do think you can draw a parallel in some degrees between poetry and hip hop. And some of the best poets who have ever lived were the First World War poets. Those guys were in the military. You're going to tell me that those guys can't write lyrics because they were in the fucking military? Come off it. They're absolutely incredible, the work that they've done. So is that your kind of... Oh, actually, you know what? Before we go on to this, right, I just had a thought, because this is something that popped into my head the other day. the hip hop industry at the moment, as in the mainstream hip hop industry, I think it's fair to say promotes a lot of violence, promotes a lot of drug use, promotes some pretty, let's say, questionable choices of how to treat women and describe women. What do you think the hip hop industry's kind of role and responsibility, if any, is to everything that's going on in the world at the moment? Does there need to be a cultural change in hip hop? Because I get the whole thing of, like, if you're telling the story of the neighborhood that you grow up in, and that neighborhood is guns and that neighborhood is violence, I understand that telling the story. But a lot of these people who are at the top of the hip hop game have not been in those positions. They're certainly not in those fucking positions for a long time. Drake talks about shooting people. I doubt he's ever fucking pulled a fucking trigger in his life, with anybody. So, doesn't mean I don't enjoy music and stuff, but at the same time, if we're going to be calling people on behavior, I think that's one industry that really needs looking at. What's your kind of opinion on that?
Yeah, so as a positive hip hop artist, as I try to be, specifically with Space Force and my own music, Topher, we need to change that. We could talk about the excuse that this is their life, so they're just talking about their life is false, like you said. So many people, Tekashi 6ix9ine, for example, he's not living that life,
yeah.
But he's making hits and money, pretending to be that type of dude. When he talks about being all tough, but he went to prison and snitched on everybody. So it's like, yeah. I don't know where they're getting this from. It's like they're literally showing you blatantly in your face that they're lying, and it's just some facade they're putting up to sell records. Now, I wish we would get back to people like Pac, right? I don't listen to Pac like that, but I do respect Pac because he did live around that. But look how he spoke about it. It wasn't glorifying it. It was, I'm going to speak about it and tell you why it's an issue. Right? It wasn't just, oh man, this is all I know, so I'm gonna talk about gun violence and bang bang. No, it's like, man, if things could have been different if I had my father in the house, or this or that. So many things that he added to it, and he also added solutions. It wasn't just let me express how I grew up. Mm-hmm. And like you said before, because of that, people don't really even vet people anymore. So you just assume anyone that's talking about that grew up and that's their lifestyle. And that's the excuse we use to continue to, I would say, monetize the Black plight of the Black community. Mm. And people don't understand that. Like, come on, where else can you say the N-word and get all free? In music. And
I'm killing it. Killing. I'm gonna kill an N-word. Yeah. I'm gonna fucking N-words, bitch. It's like,
yeah,
it's nuts.
It's nuts. And white executives are making money off this. But people don't care about that, right? They're just like, oh, well, there's so much positive music out there being made, not with just, uplifting community or everybody's community with the same values and stuff, but it's just music out there with real solutions to the same issues. Like, some of my favorite artists are like Logic. So Logic, one of my favorite artists. Eminem's my all-time favorite, by the way. But Logic, Joyner Lucas. Then, on the Christian side, I like NF and Lecrae. Both are incredible. All are incredible MCs. And for the most part, I like Lecrae because he talks about issues, but the way he talks about issues, it makes it seem, or at least leaves you feeling like you feel sorry for them, but you also understand that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Some of these other artists, they just go down the tunnel and never come back up for air. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, straight down, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do with the music we're doing, is just create something positive. Space Force is trying to create a whole new world for them to just escape to, something that can cross and transcend any demographic and people, all walks of life, just so they can feel they can relate to a certain topic. Yeah.
I love it, bro. I don't know if many people listening will be aware, but that Black Square movement on social media, that came from Capitol Records, which is they make so much money off fucking artists over, a lot of them black. So I think what is it, like 0.004 cents you get for a Spotify stream or something like that?
Absolutely.
So for a long time, record companies fuck over artists, not only black, of every color. It happens to everyone. They bring people in, they give them contracts that are not just like, because look, when someone's giving you a break in something, it's okay for, like, it shouldn't be everything in your favor. Absolutely. The companies make money. But these contracts are so fucking heavily incentivized towards the company. And it's the same with sports a lot of the time. You know, you look at the NFL, they can give these big contracts, they can cut somebody in a fucking instant. Whereas it, like, the other way around, it doesn't happen. So when the record music industry came out and said, oh, we're doing this black square thing, we give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. That probably was just to boost their fucking sales as well. How did you feel with that whole, one, with the industry in general, but two, with the black square, whatever people want to call it?
So the industry as a whole, right? Let's tackle that one first. I actually work for a music company, you know, independent music, one of the largest, if not the largest, independent company left in the United States. And while I'm working there, I get to see what goes on behind the scenes. I get to see how deals are structured, how the whole process works, music, this. And the contracts they used to get were terrible because, you know, you didn't have nothing. And that's why I'm telling people now, instead of you going in there with nothing, build you a following, build you a base. So when you get in there and it's like, hey, we want to sign you, be like, well, I'm already making, you know, 50 grand a year off this. People are already supporting my content. I have such and such following. And so when you just got more leverage and power. So if you don't want a 360 deal, you don't have to get a 360 deal. You can just get a distribution deal. So it's all kind of things you can do to increase your leverage and power. But I remember when the Black Square thing happened, I'm in politics, so I already know when someone, I feel like when they're trying to do something nice or at least seem like it's nice, it's not for the reason you think, for the most part. So I find it ironic that also on the same day that everyone was having this blackout day, Hillary Clinton starting her trials. And on top of that, that was a voting day for like, what, 8 states, I believe.
Yeah, well, so I can't remember exactly, but there's a lot of voting going on, yeah.
Yeah, I think 8 states had primary voting that day. And I'm just like, so we're going to have a blackout day when some very important issues that we need to be addressing and that we need to be attacking are going on. So we're just going to ignore social media and talk about a black square. Like nothing else. That's all they said. They didn't highlight anything. They just posted a black square. Well, first of all, it was the stupidest display of virtue signaling I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't participate. I'm going to put that out there. I never posted
me neither.
Black square.
No, me neither.
Now, my boss called me in because, of course, you know, he got minority black people that work in there. So some of us wanted to take the day off as well, right? You know, and so we're gonna give blacks the day off and so they be paid and go march if they want to. I'm like, what? Like, y'all not gonna give us a raise? Like, hey, here's a day off. We love you so much and appreciate you and understand your plight, but here's a day. So wait, you did nothing to permanently uplift the black community whatsoever, and everyone fell for it. And my boss called us in. He's like, look, man, I'm not about to participate. We're not about to participate in this black square thing because I don't want to seem like we're just now doing this. We've been pro-black from the very beginning. When other people didn't allow black people to record and do all this, do all that, we was working with these artists. We was bringing these artists and bringing them for the stage and getting them famous. So we've been doing this. We don't want to just come out and be like, I stand. It's like, no, you stand with us because we've been doing this since the 60s. And I understood where he was coming from. And I completely agree with him. One of my greatest jobs to this day is working for this company. And they literally promote you based on merit, which a lot of people don't want that because it requires sacrifice. It requires time, hard work, dedication. And most people just want to go to the job, get a big check. They don't really care about how it benefits the company, what they can do for the company, how they can invest in the company, how they can improve. They just want to go there and get a big check because of their skin color. And my boss isn't like that. And so I appreciated him calling us in, talking to us about the issue. But yeah, it was just one of the worst ideals. And everyone fell for it and they still continue to fall for it. And I'm just sitting back like, man, y'all just, I don't know what to do at this point. I guess I just keep talking. Hopefully it falls on somebody's ears.
But it's worse than that too, bro, because it's worse than that because it's not even just like, oh, if you're not going to participate, I guess you have your reasons. Oh, if you're not participating, you're a fucking piece of shit. You're a racist. You're a black guy who's a racist because you didn't put a black square. Bro, I had like, You know it's fucked up. I had friends message me, black friends, saying, bro, I don't want to fucking do this, but I'm getting so much shit at this point, I'm just putting it up. Imagine that. Imagine that. A world where a black guy is being told he's fucking racist because he doesn't put a black square on a fucking social media platform. And I have other people like who are big influencers, millions plus followers, who have employed black people in their companies and promoted on merit for decades, who give hundreds of thousands to the communities in like communities like Flint. They've done all these actions. Doesn't mean shit when you do not post a black square. And my thinking is, bro, it's hard to actually go out and do anything. Yeah. So people are protecting their own egos by going out and attacking somebody else because it's like, oh, it can't be me who's the lazy shitbag. This person must be a fucking piece of shit. So I'm going after them. I've never seen anything like it, honestly. That's the worst. The pinnacle of virtue signaling was the black square thing.
Yeah, it was. And you hit the nail on the head, man, when you mentioned that it wasn't just that if you didn't do it, cool. It was if you didn't do it, then apparently you're racist because you don't believe that Black Lives Matter. And that's why I hate the BLM movement. It's because they strategically chose that name because if you say you don't support Black Lives Matter, then it makes it seem like you don't support Black lives when that's not true. It's like, no, I just don't support the movement. There's like 16, 20 different other national and state ran organizations that's out here fighting for police accountability. So I don't have to specifically go with BLM to fight for the same injustices that you so-called we have, you know. But they have strategically branded it that way. So when you say you're against it, then you're automatically a racist. And if you're not against it and you're black, then you're a sellout, you're Uncle Tom, and you just whitewash. And it's absolutely asinine, my friend. Yeah. And I get it all the time. I said just to be, because I don't mind, pushing things to the edge because it's what I do, But I should have posted a white square that day.
Oh, dude.
Because, can you imagine like a sea of black squares and just one random white square pops up and just like.
You know what fucking pissed me off with that though as well is I saw a lot of influencers, and I'm going to call people out on this not by name, but a lot of like a lot of veterans too. Veteran influencers, but a lot of influencers at large, who have had nothing to say about. They had nothing to say about George Floyd. They've had nothing to say about police brutality. The chance comes up to put a black square. Their company pages are all over fucking that. There's a black square. Next day, back to radio silence. That, to me, is about as patronizing as it fucking gets. And do they not think that people... Well, actually, you know what? Evidently, a lot of people don't see through it.
No.
So it's fucking nuts.
They don't. That's just appeasing. Like, for some reason, the black community right now is just all about appeasement. They love the ideal of change. They love the ideal of support. They love that, but they don't like the real support. They don't understand how it means or how it looks to really be pro-black and pro-this. They just want people to feel like they because it's trendy, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell people all the time, like, some stuff ain't pretty during the process. Some stuff is pretty, just, I can go out here and do something real quick. It's pretty, right? But the process is not pretty. So when we're really out here talking about things, people don't like to talk about it because they just want to be like, oh, no, I promise you I'm pro-black. And here's a picture. Here's a picture summarizing my pro-blackness all right here. So you don't even have to question and worry about all the other stuff I'm doing. Here it is right here. And because of that pick me, because of identity politics, because of cancel culture, because of all of these things that coincide with this, it makes it important and crucial that you play your role. If you don't play your role, then you will be, and on top of that, people are afraid to be counseled and seem to be racist because we've thrown racists around so freely that it don't even have the same bite that it had, 50 years ago. It's like, oh, you're just a racist. And I'm just looking at them like, because I don't like my Cheerios with chocolate milk. I don't know. I don't know why. I like white milk. They make me racist because I like white milk. And this is the dumbness I'm seeing all across social media, even in the spectrum. My man, I made a video on TikTok the other day, and just to point out the stupidity, just the sheer stupidity of how they think and what they use to support their positions. So so I made a TikTok. The song goes, I think it's by I forget his name, David something. But all the white people were using this, all the liberals were using this TikTok song to be like, if you vote for Trump, you're a racist or you're a white supremacist. I said, okay. So when that song came on, I put on a hoodie. I put on a white shirt or whatever it was at the end of the song, and then everybody lost their freaking minds. Like, oh, you just don't care about history, and you're just making fun of your ancestors and all this stuff. I said, no, I'm making fun of your just idiocracy of everything you're saying. You're mad because I pointed out and ruined your joke. It's like you're using this joke to bully white people and to not vote for Donald Trump. But when I came out and showed my face and made light of it, now all of a sudden I'm the issue, right? You went from Black Lives Matter to no, except for this black guy.
Yeah.
So I quickly I make them go against their own beliefs because I don't fit the narrative. And I also pointed out, I was like, well, Dave Chappelle made a whole skit about being a black Klansman, but y'all didn't cancel him. So I don't understand why you canceling me. And they say because it wasn't funny. I said, oh yeah, it was funny. A lot of people laughed. It's just you didn't laugh because once again, it stopped your whole tactic.
Yeah, this idea now that everyone has to find something funny for it to be acceptable, which is ridiculous because it takes one person. Apparently, it takes one person to be offended to get things pulled. And dude, look, neither one of us are going to say that we like everything that's happened in history. Neither one of us are going to say that there's no problems in the world now. The fact that I even have to caveat that is fucking ridiculous. Of course, we can do better. But I think one of the problems we've got right now is lack of patience, right? If you look back over the last 100 years, the world is a better place than it was 100 years ago. If you look back 50 years ago, it's a better place. If you look 20 years ago, things do not fucking change overnight. So, one of the big issues I've got with how things are going at the moment is these knee-jerk reactions. Oh, there's police brutality. Right, defund the police. Whoa. Maybe defunding the police is the right action, but let's look at it a bit closer before we fucking go and do something that might be irreversible. And this is the problem we're in right now is and this is why we failed in Iraq, why we failed in Afghanistan, just tie back to this, to the veteran world. Everything's done on fucking election cycles. Everything's done on elections. What's going to win us the votes in the next few months? Boom, let's do that. What's going to win us the next election? Boom, let's do that. Changing something that's taken hundreds of years to develop is not going to happen in 4 years. It's definitely not going to happen in 4 fucking months or 4 days. It ain't going to happen with a fucking black square, I'll tell you that. So the idea that it's about staying power, it's about sustainability. Rioting is not fucking sustainable, right? Yeah. It's not sustainable, and all it does is create more division because the fact is look, the media are very good at lumping in rioters with peaceful protesters. They're not the same whatsoever. However, a lot of people aren't going to get that message. And then you've lost those people. Should you lose them? No, but you have done. Let's be fucking realistic about this. Be pragmatic. What do you think realistically is do you think, say, the police brutality issue, is this something you think will take decades? Or is this something realistically years? How long do you think something like that requires to because we're talking about, because there's so much turned into this, because the police brutality thing transcends race, there needs to be better systems of recruiting, there needs to be systems of training, there needs to be more accountability. This isn't things we're going to get done overnight, is it?
No, and that's why I appreciate Tim Scott and others speaking out, on the black senators right now and things like that, is because they're showing that you can't change this overnight. You can't change a culture. Even your most promising changes of culture takes about 3 to 4 years before you can change anything, like the entire culture of an organization. So for us to be like, we're going to change this in a month, then if you're passing a rash or just really quick policies right now, you haven't really had the time to think about or plan or see the fallout that it can cause of this. So that's why I don't want people just passing policies super quick without actually looking at it and building that database. Like right now, they want to ban chokeholds. I'm like, okay, that sounds good until you realize.
Sorry?
Chokeholds.
Oh, chokeholds. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So people want to ban chokeholds, and I was like, it sounds good But the problem with that is you just took away an alternative force that the police can use to detain a suspect. So now it definitely leaves that going to deadly force is going to be more likely to happen because we can't use that technique anymore. And all people think about when they think about chokeholds, they think about a white man, on a skinny black guy or something like that. They don't think about the female police officers who's got to detain this 6'2". Let's say they're 5'2". They got to detain this 6'2" man. Yeah. And you don't want her to use a chokehold, which it doesn't kill anybody for the most part, but you don't want her to use that to detain him in a non-lethal way, right? So they don't think about stuff like that. So you ban chokeholds, and now, like I said, now they got to resort to more extreme measures because they can't use what they've been trained to do. Now, as far as police brutality, I always go back to the numbers. I'm like, dude, I do know that only 9 unarmed black people died from police in 2019, according to Washington Times. And that's the left-leaning web. That's left-leaning. It's not even right. Yeah. Like, they even said that, it's only 9. And out of 6 of those, I think they did something crazy to who even died. Like, one person, I think, was trying to run somebody over with a car. Because when they think unarmed, they think just somebody without a weapon. You can pick up anything and be a weapon. You can use a car to be a weapon. It just matters. It's all about the intent for why you, whatever the instrument you're using to carry out your violence. But it's crazy to me that we're going to destroy, defund all because of that. Are there things we can improve upon? Yes, but we need to take it state by state and policy by policy. And right now, the first place is why we're talking about Black Lives Matter and how they support Democrats. The worst cities of police brutality are Democratic-ran cities and states. So I'm just looking at them like, so you have these cities and you're doing nothing about it. Then you want to try to defund all the police across the United States for what? So we can create more chaos? I'm going to be real with you, man. Black community, we need more police presence. Studies show that more police presence means less crime because you see a police officer is going to deter that. So as soon as you take these people out, and we already got the high rate of crime that we do have, like, Chicago just had one of the most deadliest and most violent weekends. When we have these situations, who's going to come and respond? Yeah. So I'm just like, we got to think this out, and we got to be smarter than this, and we can't fall for the narrative that if I'm a black man and I just go jogging down the road, if I just go walking in my neighborhood, if I get pulled over for a speeding ticket, police is going to shoot me. They're not. Go back and look at it. I guarantee you, like almost 99% of the time, the person that got the victim that was shot or something did something to lead them to that death. It wasn't just, "Hi, officer, how are you doing today? I'm sorry I was speeding. My bad. I'm taking the ticket, go home." No, it's F you. Why are you pulling me over? It was because I'm black. All this attitude, it escalates the situation. Then the police officer has to detain you, and then you don't want to be detained, and then there's a whole scuffle. Yeah. So all this happens way more than we like to admit. And they always want to pin it on the officer. I'm just like, look, their job is to just bring the perp in if they can. And if they can't, they have to eliminate the threat. It is what it is. You can't be mad at them for doing the job. So if you want that to change, definitely don't defund. I would definitely increase funds for training. But at the end of the day, there's not enough training in the world that can make you prepared for all the situations and scenarios that could possibly play out.
Yeah, I do. I think, well, one thing I was going to say, I find it quite funny that people are like, ban chokeholds, and then they go and choke the fuck out of each other when they're fucking. I'm like, come on, man. Like, let's have some consistency here. But like with the defunding, it's like, look, maybe don't buy so many armored cars. Maybe, because I will say this, the more armor you put on, the more bulletproof glass you put between people. Like I've seen this firsthand patrolling in Iraq and places. The more you can get out your helmet, the more you can get out your vehicles, the better relationship you'll have with that neighborhood you're patrolling. Once you're driving through and you're behind the fucking wheel of an MRAP and stuff, and you're not talking to people, people don't see you don't see the people then as people. You see that, like, because there's talk about cops talk about civilians and cops. That in itself is problematic. That kind of thing. You're all civilians. You're all in it together. That kind of thing. But that's what happens if you feel like you need body armor on to go out, which they do in a lot of places. That then puts you in a frame of mind of looking for enemies and things. So I do think that there needs to be a look at how can how can we put the money, like your best use of the money is not necessarily into bigger weapons, or it might be into other areas. And I think that like I see a lot of videos, and I see the cop and I think this guy just doesn't seem like he's actually got an even average intelligence. Like the quality of some of the police forces is questionable at best. And then the other one that I see is you're some big juiced out fucking cop fucking throwing people out of the way. The guy's on a power trip, and that'll happen. But we need to get rid of those. Need to get rid of those people. But policing, like it or not, people needs to happen because, like a lot of people, like, would it be great if we could have no military, no police, and everyone just got on great? Yeah, it'd be fucking awesome. Ain't gonna fucking happen. It's Pride Month at the moment. You know what happens if we don't have a military? Gay people get thrown off a building by fucking ISIS. It's unfortunately there needs to be some people, and they are going to be. Like, this is the other thing as well. The idea that there can be a total elimination of people being cunts is just not going to happen. There will always be people who are going too far. There will always be people brutalizing other people because that's just something that people do. And some of them will find their way into uniform. I saw it in the military. We see it in the military, dude. I'm sure you saw it too. People like, I can be a bully and get paid for it. This is fucking awesome. I'm going to go in. So I don't think that the military... I've done this too. Sometimes I'm like very critical of cops, and I'm thinking like, I can't really say too much about that when we used to blow up people's houses and laugh about it, because that's what you do on deployment as well. So again, we need to deploy a bit of empathy and put ourselves, in those people's shoes. You said earlier, dude, about like how you wish you'd got involved in politics sooner. How did you get involved? What was the catalyst?
So back in November 2019, I got involved because I started off TikTok. I went to VidCon 2019 in Anaheim, California. Went there, saw a bunch of people doing weird stuff, and I was like, "What is this going on? Like, what is wrong?" I was being a boomer. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I have no idea what they're doing. And then someone's like, "Oh, that's TikTok." I'm like, what the heck is TikTok? So I never even got on TikTok until like October 2019 because someone was doing a competition. I think Andy Mineo was doing a competition, and he was like, "Hey, use my song Coming In Hot," because Will Smith used that song in his first TikTok video. I was like, cool. I like Andy Mineo. He's going to try to give some prizes to the winner. I said, cool, I can do that. I did the video, dropped it, got off TikTok. Literally, the only thing I put on TikTok posted simply for the contest, and almost deleted the app off my phone just for that. But I came back later, because I think I got a few followers and a couple comments. I'm really just, small. And I was like, let me put something else on here. And I do like video editing. So I got a green screen set up in my room. So I made a couple of videos, and people kind of like the videos. And I'm like, okay, cool. This might be a short platform where you can make short videos and it's more appeasing, because, on Instagram, you got the 16 by or the 1080 by 1080 ratio versus, TikTok, you got the 1080 by 1920, so it allows you that vertical room to do more stuff. So I was like, let me try this out a little bit. Did that, and then eventually someone brought up something about Trump kicking people off of food stamps and denying food stamps to people, and I was like, hold up, and they were just going off the headline. And I was like, that's false, I'm a big advocate for truth and seeking facts. So when I see someone just blatantly lying to make someone feel good or to make people upset about something, it really irks my nerve. So when I saw they posted that, I was like, no, let me make a video correcting them about this. I made the video. It got a lot of love. And I was like, do people really want to hear what I have to say about these topics? Like, I didn't really think about it like that. But then I made another video regarding another issue, and a lot of people like that video. I was like, okay, I'm not getting hated on as much as I thought I would get hated on for being a Black person with these views right now. So I said, because I've had the experience in life where, even in the military, where I question a lot of stuff. I voted for Trump in 2016, by the way. I had a lot of stuff that, people would talk down to me, disown me, or unfriend me, and all kind of things, because I would say, that's not true. That's not racist. It's because of this. It's because of your actions. And And every time I did that, I got like so much backlash. And I was like, look, I just want peace. So let me stop talking about the news and politics, and I just go back doing my regular thing, right? I go back to doing my regular thing, and no one still supports me, right? My music still ain't taking off. Nothing else goes on. Nothing else is happening. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. I speak up again, get smacked right back down. I was like, just get back to doing my regular life. I just do my 9 to 5. No one cares. And then finally in November, I just finally said, you know what? I served in this country. And one of the reasons I put my life on the line was freedom of speech. So I was like, if people like AOC can get on there and sound as dumb as she sounds, being a representative, I was like, then by far, I should be able to go out here and know that my voice should be heard, and I have the same respect and owe the same level of respect and care. So I just said, F it. I said, I'm going to talk about it. I have been getting flamed ever since that moment, and I love it. Now, I just learned to dance in the flames. I'm just la 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 la, and just put my fire retarded gear on, just like, hey man, you got to come stronger than that, man, because it doesn't bother me anymore because I know why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it because I want people. Because I know this: if we continue to come up with false information, false lies, and we scream for change, our community is never truly going to change. It's never truly going to benefit because we're going to be fighting the wrong enemy. We're not even going to be fighting the issues that we need to be fighting to promote that change. So I'm out here like, I'm tired of seeing the Black community be hurt and to be lied to and to be manipulated into just voting for some people that don't give 1 ounce of doo-doo about who you are.
Oh, man, you could go harder than that, mate. So, because, dude, it says it all. And what is it? Over 100 shootings in Chicago. We're recording this June 27th. Over 100 shootings in Chicago last week. Not a peep out of, certain medias. Not a peep. That needs to be condemned. A cop killing somebody in cold blood needs to be condemned. People killing people over a fucking turf war or some shit, or some just fucking bullshit, or somebody calling someone something and them getting pissed off and needing to step up and shoot them. That needs to be equally fucking condemned. Where's the people marching against that? No, but we don't. We make music about that. We celebrate that. We buy albums. Imagine buying an album by a guy who was talking about how much he enjoys kneeling on people's necks and killing them because he's a cop. Imagine that album. No, we wouldn't want that. Let's go and march against that, quite rightly. But then you're going to go and put money in people's pockets who were talking about doing exactly the same kind of manner of despicable shit to other people, but that's okay. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's tough, but it's sad, and it's just work I've decided to roll my sleeves up and do, and I'm going to continue to do it because someone's got to be out there, right? I remember growing up and seeing people that inspired me to do better, And if we're just going to complain about stuff or at least talk about stuff, but we're not out in public, being that face, getting our face out there and standing strong in the face of opposition, of the enemy, then people they won't be inspired to do so as well. Yeah. So my thing is to be vocal, to be present, to be in everybody's faces on a daily basis, why I post so much, to remind people that no matter what you say, I'm not going anywhere. And this has inspired so many younger kids and youth because they're like, man, Topher is just standing out there taking these blows, going toe to toe with people, and he's taking them to school, Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about it is I'm fine to argue with you about things, and I don't really like to argue because I think argument is just dumb. But I like to just have a conversation. At the end of the day, if we can have a good conversation and talk about issues, I'm going to respect your beliefs. But let's talk about why you believe what you believe, right? And I'm gonna tell you why I believe what I believe. And then at the end of the day, let's look at some facts that can support either side of how well we do it. And let's really look at why you drew this conclusion versus why I drew this conclusion. Because that's the only way we're really truly going to get to a point where we can change and move with a foundation of truth and facts. So that's why I'm so adamant about being vocal and being seen on a daily basis.
Yeah, dude, and what you said there is most human beings we've got the same destination in mind. We just have different ideas about how to get there. But then when you look at, okay, why am I thinking the way? You start to see that actually I'm thinking this because not everyone has the same destination for humans in mind. And you will start to get pulled one way or the other by these other groups who don't have, the best interest in heart. And someone said to me yesterday, they were like, basically saying, oh, thanks for saying like controversial things. I'm like, I'm not saying anything controversial. But because it's shouted down so much, you think it's controversial because you don't hear that opinion much, or the media will be like, controversial TikTok artist Topher. No, they're just giving you that label. It's millions of people agree with it. It's not fucking controversial to most people. It's somebody's opinion based a lot of the time on fact. I try and base what I look at. I try and look at history and say, well, look, this is what's happened in the past. This is probably what's going to happen. You all your videos, you always bring up, you cite things. You're like a lawyer with them. You cite things. You're not just, this is my opinion. You're citing it, with facts. And I think this is one of the things about, because I'm the same as you do. Like I have a new rule on, I haven't got anywhere near like your kind of following. But my new rule is if someone comes on a post and they're like, I disagree because blah, blah, blah. Great, let's have a conversation. I did one the other day. I was making a joke about tax because I think it's wrong to threaten people with imprisonment for not paying tax. I think that's fucking barbaric, And someone's like, oh, why don't you just spit in the face of disabled people? So they went from me not thinking it's fair to imprison people for tax to I hate disabled people. Wow. That was the jump. And I was like, you know what? Block, delete. Because that person is too far gone at that point. Now, if she was like, do you not believe in tax? I would say, no, actually, I do believe in paying tax. But here's why I have issues with the tax system. I don't think it's fair for people who get through all kinds of loopholes to then send other people to prison for not pay. Because basically, you're paying for their salaries and they're saying, if you don't pay for my salary, you're going to prison. That's extortion, right? That's what I would say. But she'd be like, you hate old people, you piece of shit. I'm like, block, delete, done.
Yeah.
How do you, when you're dancing in the flames, are you dancing with a smile on your face?
Always, baby. Because I tell people, man, it don't matter. This is how I know. It's not just that I base my conclusions and my commentary on facts. It's that I base it on my experience and life. And literally, when I take the facts and I take the perspectives that I'm telling you that, are there, and I've applied it to my life, I've been way more successful than I would have if I would have took the perspective that I was taught that was wrong as I was growing up. Mm-hmm. If I would have went out here and just truly believed that cops were against me, and I felt that way at a certain point because how everyone keeps, growing up in Mississippi, given our history and everything that's going on here, you kind of feel that way about white people and the authorities. And because of that, I used to kind of like almost give them a little attitude, like, why you want to know where I'm going? Like, why you want to know this and that? And it was like, maybe they just want to know. And just to give a perspective of how it turned out, he gave me a ticket, and he probably looked at me like I was, of course, maybe some other issue going down. Recently, I got pulled over. This is years later, different attitude, different perspective. I got pulled over. I had my tag was out. My light was out. I didn't have my insurance card on me. I forgot about it. I was in my car nighttime, driving in a hoodie and a beanie. Everything that you hear about the worst case scenario when it comes to being a black person. And you know what? That officer left me with a warning. He's just like, hey, I'm gonna give you a warning. And the reason why is because I literally had a conversation with him. Instead of just being automatically defensive, I told him, I was like, hey, he said, hey, you're doing this and this, the headlight out. I did not know, sir. I'm sorry. He said, where you going? Instead of me being like, why you need to know? I was like, when I'm actually leaving work, I stay an hour and a half away. I'm traveling. He said, wait, you drive an hour and a half to go to work? So he became like, hey, man, I'm not going to hold this man up because he's a productive member of society. That's how the conversation changed, because I was willing to just have the conversation and not treat this man based on the wrong, false perspectives that I've been taught as a youth. And I'm telling people to this day that if you would just listen to me and apply these things, life would be so much better. And you won't feel like you have to walk around with a chip on your shoulder because it's going to be removed. And you can be like, you know what? I have way more power and freedom than anybody in the previous generation can even imagine. So why am I out here pretending to be a victim when I'm not a victim? If anything, I'm victim of my own mentality, not victim of the system.
As we all are. We all like that. And dude, I'll be honest, I've had like mixed experiences with police. I've had some bad, like, because I've been brought up to respect police. I don't know if the police that I've dealt with were necessarily brought up to respect the people that they were dealing with, because I've had some pretty shitty experiences with them. And I've also had some good ones too. And it just comes down to the police are made up of human beings, and therefore you are going to get some who are good. And so you might have been unlucky and had 10 experiences with 10 people who were absolute dicks. You might have had 10 experiences with people who are good. So I'll say that about it, but this goes without a doubt. If you were compliant and you were polite, you're gonna do better. Even the most fucking racist piece of shit cop is gonna have a hard time finding reason to justify shooting someone if you're just sitting there saying yes or no, sir. It's gonna be a lot harder to do. He's still a piece of shit racist cop. Because they exist. Like, we're not saying they exist. I keep having to caveat that because I know otherwise my DMs will be full of you saying there's no racist cops. Of course there is. There's racist cops. Yeah. There's racist people. They come in all shapes and sizes. Do you think that Black Lives Matter is in itself a racist movement, being that, because I saw your thing on the Terry Crews commentary where he was talking about the dangers of black supremacy. Do you want to explain a bit about black supremacy, and do you think that that is a possible danger here with Black Lives Matter? And hang on, again, I need a caveat. Black Lives Matter, the organization, not the fact that Black Lives Matter. Can we please just agree, everyone, that Black Lives Matter, obviously, they fucking matter, but their organization, that's different kettle of fish.
Yes, so black supremacy is built on the same idea that white supremacy is built upon. And you can go look it up. They're legit organizations. The new Black Panther Party literally states they want to exterminate white people. It's like, I don't know. I don't know how much clearer it could be. Go look up the sentiment, look at the policies, look up the leaders' thoughts and ideals, and you'll be like, yo, these dudes are just straight racist. And there's no excuse for this. They're trying to change the definition of racism. So yeah, black people can't be racist because it requires prejudice plus power, which is all false. And it's just something that was started in the 70s. And they're trying to make it that way just to excuse our behavior, which is a wrong step in the wrong direction, a wrong step in the wrong direction. So I cannot get jiggy with that at all. And when you talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, the reason why I can't get jiggy with that, on top of just the fact that they really don't care about black lives. Otherwise, they'll be out there fighting against Planned Parenthood, was founded by Margaret Sanger, who was a known racist. Or they'll be out there fighting against, Chicago. They'll be out marching against that. They'll be out marching against all kind of other things when it comes to black lives, but they're not. Now, they're also pushing for the removal of the patriarchal or the traditional family, which has already been the detriment of the black community. So you got a whole organization that's furthering the demise of the black community, and we're just like, oh, they're doing it for in the name of black lives. It's like, no, they're not. they're actually anti-black lives at this moment because they're doing it in that name. And black supremacy is a thing. And I agree with Terry Crews because there seems to be gatekeepers in the black community that if you don't agree with us, then you're automatically exiled, and we don't want nothing to do with you. We will counsel you. We will call your job. We will ignore people. We won't watch your movies. And all you did was just say, I want equality for all. I don't want just us to be over anybody. I don't want any power. I don't want any advantage. I just want us to be able to be on the same playing field. They don't want to hear that. And I get that a lot of times. There's a lot of militant black people or black nationalists on TikTok that all they do is spend their time talking about my video. Like, they don't really bring up anything else. It's like their job is to get on there and find out how can they just bring me down. And it just further shows that if you are a black person that does not follow the groupthink mentality, you don't fall into the collective ideal or thought process, then you will be brought down. You will be cut off. And it's a sad thing to see because they didn't have this back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We go back and look through history. You had people that was like W. Du Bois, who was on one side, versus Booker T. Washington. And they didn't they didn't agree, but they didn't go around just killing and trying to murder people that didn't share the same ideals. but it doesn't do our community good. And to us, this is what we are a diverse people. You know, we all come from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different education, different interests. You know, and because of this, I feel like that's why we have things like the Act White, or when a black person is involved in anime, then they're looked at as just being nerdy, and no one likes them because they watch anime and they want to go to, what's it called, Comic-Con and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, you're not really black because you're doing all this other stuff with Japanese people, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not just this monolithic community. We have so much diversity, and there's so much beauty in diversity that we need to stop hating on other black people and that's not thinking like you. So it's very toxic. It's a daily thing. My daily cleansing is I just throw a movie on, or I just go talk to people. And what really keeps me going is the DMs I get on a daily basis. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I get hundreds. You probably get the same. I get hundreds.
I don't get that many, thank God, mate.
Hey, don't say that, G. We're gonna get you up to that level. I don't know if you really want it, but I get hundreds of DMs from TikTok to Instagram of people just, hey man, you know, I'm a white father, and I'm glad I found you because I wanted to teach my black kids that I adopted, that here's somebody that looks like you, that can speak to you on a certain level through your same skin color, through your same plight. Or there's a teacher over here, hey, I want to use your videos to educate the youth about this topic because we typically don't hear this perspective. Or there's this person over here, man, like, man, I used to be racist, but seeing people like you, it makes me realize that, black people ain't that bad. So I get these all the time. And when I get these, it reminds me that what I'm doing is working, it's effective. And here's the proof.
Yeah, because the thing is, people are combative, right? So if you're only exposure, like if you live in a very white town somewhere and your only exposure is seeing videos of people saying, fuck white people, you don't get an opinion, we're going to fuck you up and all that stuff, you're going to be like, holy shit. And that's because it's combative, right? It wouldn't matter if that person was green, but then you're like, oh my God, they're coming to get me. And it makes people like, that's not good. But when you're like, you're like, oh, actually, here's a person who's like, just this person is exactly like me. Because the thing is like, and this goes both ways too. Because there's probably, I'm sure, a lot of black communities where people have been taught to think that white people are fucking pieces of shit too. And then they get white friends and they're like, oh, actually, I didn't realize that he was, exactly like us. It's being played off against each other. It's the divide and conquer thing. Because one of my things that I see through this, I'm like, hang on, there's a constant here. It's poor neighborhoods get fucked over, rich people get richer. That's the constant here, and it's the same people playing people off each other that benefits it. Like we're talking about Black Lives Matter, where a lot of that money goes from. That money is going to people that are already worth $100 million fucking dollars. And that's where people's money is going from. How did you feel, right? How did you feel when? By the way, people, I'm not one party or the other personally, so I'm not trying to set this up as being like a slam dunk on the Democratic Party here by any means, because I go back and forth on different. Tulsi was my favorite candidate for it. That's why we had her on. Well, not the only reason we had her on, but she was my favorite candidate for the state. She was a Democratic candidate. But when I saw Joe Biden came out and saying like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Dude, I was whoa, because basically in that you have encapsulated and said this entire race of people must all think the same, and you must vote for me, and if not, then you must just disregard everything about your race. How did that feel, man? That must have been fucking nuts.
It was. You know what? I wasn't surprised because I already know what the Democratic Party is about. I hate to say it. They were the party of racists. They were the party that promoted and fought for slavery. They were the party that founded the KKK. They were the party of black codes and Jim Crow laws. Of the South. So it doesn't faze me at all when I hear that. But it's just to me, it's the nerve of people going on national television to say that to me or a person of color, and try to summarize us as, like you said, into this one thought process. Like, you ain't black. My whole blackness, my whole identity is based upon how I vote. Like, really? Like you don't even know me. You don't know why I'm voting Republican. It may be because I'm super pro life. It's like, and you Democrats are super pro choice. I'm like, no, we have right now in New York, more black babies are being aborted than born. That's literally genocide right now going on in New York. So it's like, I care more about that than I care about the random black dude dying by the cop versus these innocent lives right now. I feel like that's a more pressing issue. So how can we reduce that number? Let's talk about that right now versus everybody else.
Yeah. And, oh, sorry, go.
No, I would say, and I actually made a song called "I'm Still Black." It's featuring my buddy Terry Josiah, who's also a military vet. But we made this song because me and him both wanted to express our just disgust at Joe Biden for even coming at us with that type of attitude, the audacity for him to even believe that was okay for him to say. He did issue an apology or to clear things up, but I don't agree with it. You said it, and you said things like this multiple times. He said that poor kids are just as smart and talented as white kids. Like he said he didn't want his kids raised in racial jungles. He's been anti integration, so he was definitely pro segregation back in the day. He wrote the 1994 crime bill that has sent so many black minority people to prison. So it's like this dude's entire career and the way he talked is blatantly racist. And y'all still want me to be like, oh no, you still got to vote for him. And while I got your listeners on here, I just want to point this out. The Democrat Party formed the KKK to force black people to vote Democrat. Sounds funny, don't it?
Oh, you mean like because to kind of like scare them into it?
Scare them from voting Republican. Because back in the day, Republicans freed the slaves, right? So back in the South, a lot of black people were like, yeah, we're going to vote Republican because they're the ones that's pro-civil rights. They're pro us. But the KKK came around, and that's when they came up with black codes, and they would be at the polling booths and stuff like that, and they would deter people from voting Republican. They was trying to suppress the black voice to vote anything other than that. And this is just a modern day example of Democrats doing the same thing. And so I'm not falling for it. And like you say, you love history. That's a historical context that people are not looking at when things like that are happening.
Dude, and to give it some more recent context, the Black Lives Matter movement, a lot of their money goes to Biden's campaign. So the money from Black Lives Matter is going to Joe Biden, who's saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So you're having somebody who is categorizing an entire race is the man that's supported by Black Lives Matter. Like that, if that doesn't show you that fucking group has ulterior motives, then I really don't know what will. Dude, something I wanted to point out to people as well is you and I think, get to have our opinions on this stuff heard because we're not worried about losing out, because you're talking about cancel culture and stuff. This is one of the benefits about making your own money, especially being an artist. If you're relying on other studios and stuff to get made, you have to toe the line. You have to you have to basically disregard your own core fucking internal beliefs for fear of the mob, which is a really sad thing to do. And it's one of the reasons I really encourage anybody who feels strongly about things, put yourself in a position where you can support yourself financially without relying on... because here's the thing, like the mob can only get you cancelled from... So actually, just to kind of give some context to people who know this, because not everyone will understand really how entertainment works. Entertainment is traditionally a lot more left thinking than what society is. So they will try and then culture everybody else's ideas based on their own. So just because a lot of TV shows are getting pulled and things at the moment doesn't mean that there's actually anything wrong with those shows. It means that the 5 or 10 people who are making those decisions in the office, they think that there's something wrong with it. And there's enough noisy people to worry them into action. So they're either worried about A, their bottom line, or 2, they are actually genuine believers in those. But it's a very strong very left, progressive left culture in there. Is that one of your motivations for being like a kind of self-sufficient, self-supporting artist?
Absolutely. And one of the things I did get recently because of one of my videos, it was like, does anybody know where he worked? We want to send his videos to his boss.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to send his videos to his boss so we can see what their boss thinks about them. I said I would tell you, but I'm not going to do that, and that's why I keep where I work at, kind of in the background. But I also laughed because I was like, he watches my TikTok religiously, like all of my other followers. He agrees with me, so it wouldn't do anything. But it shows the like I said, the leaps and bounds and they're willing to go to try and silence somebody that they don't agree with. Like, come on, bro. I've never even if you're a black supremacist, I've never been like, hey, let me find out where this person works so I can get them fired. It's like, what does that do? You know, that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help the conversation. It doesn't help us move forward. You know, I feel like the quickest way to help somebody is to really just get to know them and find their common ground and actually have a conversation. But I'm just gonna make you hate me even worse if I get you fired. You know, if I take away your means to sustain yourself, then yeah, you absolutely gonna have a reason to hate and disgust me and not agree with me for sure. So yeah, they try to do that, and that's why I'm trying to go full time with my content creation. That's why I'm raising funds now, and that's why I started a Fundly, and my goal is $25,000 to jumpstart that transition. So far, I've had really great support, and we just got to get over to that hump. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that people are doing it because it's the simple things, right? You know, and this is why I'm trying to help out other conservatives, you know, that think like me, because we need people to support each other because they're not going to support us. And if we're wasting our money supporting others, then we definitely not going to get the same support either. So I'm being very conscious about how I'm spending my money and how and who I'm doing business with, because the more and more we just, you know, go on robot and just do stuff automatically, we're not paying attention. So everything I'm doing now is very thought out and is with a purpose. And so this is going to help get the message out. And that freedom allows me to go around and cover different topics and get more videos and get information, because a lot of what I'm doing now is just part-time. You know, when I get off work, when I'm not taking care of the kids, I'm not, you know, being with the family, that's when I get a chance to even look something up. And then on top of that, turn around and make videos about it. And it's very taxing on my time. I always tell people, man, if I had 4 more hours in a day, I'd be good, you know? But right now, it's just a lot of pressure.
And dude, the reason I want people to go and support you, and the reason I'll be chipping in myself, is because you're not being combative against the other side. You're just pointing out the sense in things and saying, like, look, this is wrong and this is why. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are they screaming their side and then the other side screaming theirs, and it's just feeding into this just big generation of hate. And you're not doing that. You know, you're very calm, collected. It's like, right, okay, let's have a look at this headline on the thing. This is why it's wrong. Bum, bum, bum. Like, I don't see how anyone could take offense with what you're doing. And those people are going after your job. I've talked about this before, but I think it's a point worth making is it's the language that they use. They like say, so we were talking about the Black Lives Matter. So if you say you don't agree with Black Lives Matter, the organization, so, you know, people don't then go, then this must mean, maybe as a point, it's, he doesn't believe that Black Lives Matter. And then that becomes it's like war rhetoric, because at that point, it's almost like, oh shit, he doesn't believe my life matters. He's an enemy. You know, we saw this during the whole COVID thing. If you go outside to exercise, it's because you want all old people to die. Like, no, I want my immune system to be good so I can look after my grandma, you know? But no one fucking listens to that. And I think 2020, more than ever, like I'm rereading 1984 at the moment, because that is the Bible when it comes to using language to manipulate thought, right? And we, like this year, would you agree that, like, the way the manipulation of words and statements has probably never been stronger? And it's like, I think what we're seeing from the media, I'm going to go out and say that the media are a bigger threat to the American people than ISIS, hands fucking down. They will have more blood on their hands than ISIS and the 9/11 hijackers and Al-Qaeda ever fucking did in America.
Yeah, Maj Toure is another Black conservative I follow all the time. Yeah, and he has one of the best acronyms for media: most effective devil in America.
That's brilliant.
Literally. I mean, that's all they do, you know, and it's sad to me that people are just still falling for the same thing. It's so, they're not even hiding at this point. It's like, you can fact check everything. There's whole fact checkers going on no one cares about. There's all this going on, they don't care about it. And when you point stuff out, they don't care. Like, you know, we was like, man, we just want to go to church because of COVID-19. We want to do this. I just want to open up my business because, this and that. It's funny that they were jailing people while releasing people for COVID-19. So it's like, let me get this straight. So you're going to release people for COVID-19, and then when people don't adhere to the guidelines, you want to throw them in jail for COVID-19. I was like, first of all, that's just a big hypocrisy in itself. Then on top of the fact that people were just trying to have a funeral. I had to bury my grandma and this year during COVID, but she didn't die from it, just, thank God. But so we buried her, and yeah, we went there with masks. We had to do all these kind of things. We had to have an outside, event and everything. And I'm looking now, and people just out here protesting, and I'm just like, wait a minute. Did COVID go on vacation or something? Like,
no, you can't catch it at protests. Can't catch it there. Can't catch it at protests.
Apparently, they have qualified immunity that I don't know about or something.
But there's better than that as well. So in Oregon, masks are mandatory unless you're a person of color. Because COVID has mutated to the point where it's only interested in spreading with white people. Like, dude, that is something that's out of like a fucking a fucking comedy movie. Like that would be something like, when I saw that, I'm like, you guys are the Oregon is tripping over itself to be fucking woke at that point. Like, exactly. That's just nuts.
I said, they're not even woke no more. They're just insomniacs. They need to go to sleep. Y'all need to take a nap at this point.
But dude, it's nuts because I find as well so much of this stuff is patronizing and demeaning. It's like, do you think that they're that stupid that I don't see that? Like, one of the things that annoy me, like, so, if any of my black friends do something in their life, like buy a house or like graduate a course or get a new job, I'm going to fucking tell them, bro, I'm fucking proud of you. Well done. Like, congratulations. Same as I would do to any of my friends. There was a thing going around the other week. I mean, it is comical, and it's like, call a black friend and tell him that you're proud of him. Like, just imagine that conversation, like, man, hello, what's up? It's like, hey, bro, just want you to know, I'm proud of you. Like, is this to do with BLM? Yeah, I'm so proud of you, bro. Like, it's the most patronizing fucking shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, man. Of course, I'm black, so a lot of my black friends tag me and stuff like, I'm a black man, and, I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? We're not being shot like this. We're not being gunned down. We're no one's doing this. We've celebrated. I said, this is the issue. Y'all feel guilty because you haven't celebrated black culture. You haven't celebrated black success. You haven't celebrated the progress black people have made. That's why you feel entitled or some type of guilt to go out here and do these type of things. I said, I talk about black excellence all the time. So I'm not compelled to go out here and do some type of artificial congratulatory message or to someone. It's like, hey man, you're black and you're not in jail. Congratulations. It's like, yeah. Like, what? So you expect me to be in
that's
jail?
That's a low bar.
It's right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, that's a backhand compliment to me. It's like, no, this is stupid. Go out here and make it your business on a daily basis to talk about these issues, to talk about these people that's doing great things. And hey, don't you dare say, and this is why I tell people Black lives don't matter, or they don't matter all the time to everybody, is because the same people that say that are on my TikTok all the time telling me go kill myself. I hope you get run over by the KKK. I hope they hang you one day for, having them follow you. I'm like, there's no KKK. Even if there was KKK people following me, racism is an ideology. It's a mindset. It doesn't hurt anyone. What hurts someone is when they act upon that, and that becomes discrimination. We cannot police anybody's mind. Trust me. The Christians and everybody else have done so and tried so for many years. It has failed. So we cannot police anyone's mindset, but we can police their behaviors. And when someone acts upon that, then yes. But us going out here trying to do this and do that does not help the cause, does not move us forward as a nation, as a people at all. And as long as we keep having this divisive language, which is funny to me, they're trying to make it seem like Trump is the one dividing America. And I'm just like, what are you guys talking about? Trump, first of all, is one of the most pro-black people when pro-black wasn't even fun. It wasn't even a thing. Trump wasn't even virtue signaling when he was helping out communities with the Rainbow Coalition with Jesse Jackson, and he gave them free offices up in the Trump Tower. He wasn't virtue signaling when he donated $25,000 to Clyde Fraser Sr. for his son passing away in the 9/11 attacks. He wasn't virtue signaling when he was giving it to the black churches. He wasn't doing none of that for just this hey, black people, look at me, I love you and support you. He wasn't doing it. He was doing it because it was the right thing, because he supports good people. He supports good behavior. No matter what color you are, he wants to help out when he sees there's a need and a genuine issue. So the fact that we keep trying to make Trump so divisive is crazy to me. And the media, I'm just looking at the media like, how do y'all sleep at night? Like, y'all you can't sleep
on big beds of money.
Well, that's probably, I take that back. You know what?
And fucking Xanax and big bags of money, and then a fucking snorting Adderall in the morning. Yeah, they're bad people. They're bad people, bro. You can't do what they do and be a good person. They are, like I said, like, are they like, so, I mentioned earlier, ISIS throwing gay people off of buildings. Are they doing that? Not physically, but they're promoting violence. They're promoting hate. Their ideology is as hateful as ISIS's. They profit of turning people against each other, and that's fucked up. Bro, I just want to go, man. We've gone over time, but like I'm enjoying this so much, dude. What's your position on the statues? The whole thing with the statues. Where do you kind of stand on that?
I'm gonna be upfront, man. I don't give a rat's ass about statues. I've never walked past a statue and just was overwhelmed with oppression. Like I never walked past a statue and was like, oh my God. I've been hit by racism and just oppression. I've never had that experience. And the reason why I know it's bull crap and it's just another form for people to be violent. And to me, one, Democrats are trying to erase their history, right? Because Democrats known that most of these people that tearing down were part of the Democratic Party. It's like Pelosi was like, she didn't know that the Paytons in the White House or wherever she was were from former Democrats that were racist or whatever. So they took them down. Like all of a sudden, you didn't know that. We all know the history of the Democratic Party. So right now is a perfect way for them to continue the myth of the party switching. On top of that, I was like, dude, we have literally named streets after Martin Luther King because we was like, yeah, we got to name it something positive, and this is what's gonna lead us into the future. There's some of the most dangerous places to go in the black community across all states. As any black person, I am not exaggerating. So I'm just like, us tearing down things that have nothing, that would not put more money in our bank account, would not, free us for anything, does nothing for us. It's not going to lead us into where we need to be. We need to keep those statues up. We need to remind people of our ugly past so we don't repeat that past. And we need to remind people who were the perpetrators of that past. Was it the Democrat Party? Was it the Republican Party? And I knew that was insane when they took down Ulysses S. Grant statue, who literally fought for our freedom. And he was part of the Union. And
most successful Union general.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? So that tells me that this is out here being idiots, and they just want some blanket excuse to ride, loot, and just go be just crazy people. So I don't agree with none of this, man. And like I said, Black Lives Matter has done nothing that has improved my life since their foundation. Nothing they have done has improved my life as a black person in America.
Dude, I think it's the virtue signaling thing again. It's very easy to go and pull down a statue and say that you've done something. How about going to Libya and doing something about the slave markets in Libya? There's slave labor going on all over Africa. It's going on all over Asia. It's going on in fucking Mexico. You can get in your car, drive to Tijuana, and go to the fucking sweatshops that are there. Like, you could do that this weekend. Instead of the 1,000 of you go and pull down a statue, how about 1,000 you're going to go and talk to the nice cartel across the border and fucking ask them about stopping the slave labor? You could do it if you wanted to, but people won't do it because it's hard. It's easy to pull down a statue. Fucking easy. Yeah. Bro, I fucking enjoyed today's chat, mate. It's gone fast. Will you come on and do another one? Yeah, man. You got it, G. Anytime, bro. We just have to schedule it out. But man, yeah, I enjoyed it, bro. I appreciate it, mate. It's gone fast, man. Can you let everyone know where they've gone? Give them the was it the Kickstarter again or not Kickstarter? What's the
Fundly.
The Fundly, yeah. I'll put the link. So anyone listening, I'll put the link in the show notes as well, so you can go just click on there and just go directly through it. And where can people find you on TikTok and Insta?
So you find me at Topher Town Music. That's TOPHERTOWNMUSIC, Topher Town Music. Or you can go to my website at tophertown.com, spelled the same way, but .com. And yeah, all my stuff is there from my bio, from some of the press releases I've had, for some of the podcasts I've been featured on, all the way to my contact information if you want to send me stuff, physical address, and also the Fundly. So once again, the Fundly is to help me go become a full-time content creator. So I'm excited about it. It's going good, but we still need that extra push. So anything you can give, I will be gladly to accept.
And dude, I push that from everyone as well. No matter anyone listening, no matter your beliefs, no matter like your art, to try and get self-sufficient is the way to go. Like I've been doing it myself, and I tell you what, like it takes your enjoyment of work to the next level as well when you feel that you have like even more kind of agency in it. So like anyone that's listening as well, you know, I really kind of like, I'm sure both of us would really strongly advise you to do that, because not only is it a good move, a business move long term, but it's just so much more fun when you know that you've got fucking control over all this stuff. But mate, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate what you're doing out there, man, because it's hard to find people with a voice of reason. So as soon as I come across you, I was like, kind of like I was latched on it. I was, you know, it's great, and I'm sure it's an inspiration to a lot of other people, bro. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. Like I said, thanks for bringing me on. And you know, thank you for your service and everything else. Everyone is tuning in, thank you all for your service. And yeah, see y'all next time. He said it first.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. I'm sure, like me, you enjoyed that conversation very much, or you won't be here. Topher's a great guest. Definitely want to have him back on to discuss more about politics. You know, there's such a can of worms to get into when it comes to anything to do with politics, anything to do with racial issues. And I think he does a great job about separating things out and making it easier for the rest of us to kind of see and digest. So Topher, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, mate. Guys, thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to support the podcast, please go and support our podcast sponsors. Go and follow at Combat Comb-Over. Go and follow at Zulu Alpha Strap Company. And maybe buy some books off your old mucker G. Legion by Geraint Jones is on Amazon. I got signed copies if you want them at the back of me van. And I've got signed copies of Brothers in Arms if you want them. Also at the back of my van at your discretion, and also available on Amazon. If you stick Geraint Jones in on Amazon, right, it'll bring a bunch of books back, but I'm not the one that writes about fucking Anglesey. Why would anyone want to write about Anglesey? So don't go buy those books. As much as I'm sure the other Geraint Jones appreciates it, I can promise you guys I will never write a fucking book about Anglesey. All right, on that note, I will catch you next time. I love you, bye.
Yeah. Listen. Shout out Teaser. You told me not to worry, and you wouldn't break my heart. You told me you were sorry, yeah, my whole world fell apart. You said it's not my fault, and yeah, I've never done you wrong. I'm grinding to a halt, now I can see you're moving on. I promised I'd get better, and I told you things would change. You keep me to the gutter, yeah, I'll never be the same. I've gotta let you go, now live your life and spread your wings. And yeah, you put on quite a show, and pulled the puppet strings. And are you sure that you don't want me? Remember all the pain, or maybe you should thank me. It's your loss and my gain. I'm leaving now forever, I won't hang my head in shame. But yeah, you've taken me for granted, and you should feel ashamed. You sold a dream to all of us, a dream that we'd all die for, a reason for us all to live and something we could fight for. I might just help a man up to his feet or hold a newborn, but no matter what I do, my hands remembering my rifle, yeah.
Life's hard, I know that, still wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't go back, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Feelings I hold back, memories fade, yeah, they go fast, yeah, they go fast. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose.